Guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Benz. In today's tutorial, I'll be teaching you how to make this beautiful gown with side gathers and a flace sleeve. This is a very easy tutorial. So if you're interested in this tutorial, let's get right into it. So these are the fabrics that I'll be using. This is a vintage fabric. This is a crepe fabric. The vintage fabric is 2 yards, while the crepe fabric is also 2 yards. I'll be making use of a lace fabric and a lining, but I do not have it right now because we are going into the drafting of this tutorial first before the cutting. So I'll get all of the tools that I need. But right now, the available material that we need is the vintage and the crepe. So I'll set this aside and I will start with the pattern drafting. So this is my pattern paper, guys, and these are the tools that I'll be using to make this dress. That's to draft this dress: my ruler, pencil, and my tape. So I'm going to go ahead now to rule out my starting line as we always do. So this is my starting line, can also be my shoulder line. So from there, guys, I'll go ahead and take my vertical measurement. For the vertical measurement, I'll be making use of the bust point, which is 10 inches, the under bust, which is 13 inches, the half length is 15 and a half, but I'll be adding 2 inches to it because I'll be removing the bust dart. The 2 inches is for the bust dart, making it 17 and a half. I went ahead to mark it there. And then for my hip line, I'll be making use of 25 inches. That's 25 and a half rather. 25 and a half inches for my hip line. And then the full length. The full length of this gown, I'll be exhausting the whole of this pattern paper. And the whole of this pattern paper gave me 36 and 36. So basically, I'll go ahead and remark all of this again. The bust point 10, under bust 13, half length 17 and a half, hip line 25 and a half, and then the full length. I'll go ahead now and use my ruler to straighten this line, connecting all the points into a straight line. So this was me, guys, connecting all of my points into a straight line. So when I'm done, guys, the next thing I'm going to do is to indicate this line, which is my bust point. This is my under bust. This is my waistline. This is my hip line. This is a hip line, and then the full length of our gown, FL. So when I'm done, guys, I will go ahead now and I will go back to the shoulder line to indicate my shoulder measurement. So my shoulder is 14 divided by 2 is 7. I came down from that 7 by 1 inch for shoulder slope. And then my armhole, to get my armhole line, my bust divided by 6 plus 1.5, I got 7.1. I went ahead to mark it, and I will use my ruler to straighten the line, just the way you see me doing. So when I'm done with this, guys, I'll go ahead and indicate CL. So this is my chest line. For my chest line, guys, I will impute my shoulder measurement again there, and then I'll use my ruler to connect it to the 1 inch shoulder slope I came down by, just like this. So guys, the next thing I'm going to do right now is to take my neck width, which is 3 inches, and then for my neck depth, I went ahead to use 6.2 inches for my neck depth. So I went ahead to mark my 6.2 inches here, and I'll use my ruler to straighten the line. I will extend the line like this. So when I'm done, guys, I'll go ahead and connect my shoulder slope like this, and then on my armhole line, I'm going to divide my armhole line by 2. I'll mark it there, and I will come in by ½ inch for armhole curve, and then on my chest line I will impute my bust measurement. So when I impute it there, I'll connect all of these points together to get my armhole curve. If you're very conversant with my tutorial, you will know that we always do this. So guys, when I was done connecting, I'll go ahead and take my nipple to nipple measurement. My nipple to nipple is 8 divided by 2 is 4. I went ahead to mark all of this on my new neckline, my bust, my waistline, my hip line, all through to my full length. That was where I marked my nipple to nipple. Then I'm going to use my ruler to connect all of these points to make it into a straight line. So when I'm done connecting, guys, the next thing is I'll go back to my underbust to take my underbust dart. So I came in here by 1 inch and I came out here by 1/2 inch. I'm going to go ahead now and connect this 1 inch dart all through, but I went ahead to mark it down so that it will be easier for me to connect. So at this point, my dart 1 inch, 1/2 inch. I did the same thing for the full length, 1 inch and 1/2 inch. So I use my ruler to connect this point together to make a straight line, just the way you see me doing. So when I'm done, guys, I'll go ahead and take my curve. That's, I'll use my ruler now to curve a bustier kind of, to get my bustier curve. I'll do the same thing for this other side for the bustier curve. So when I'm done with this, guys, from that 6.2 inches I came down by, I will go ahead and take my dart there. So for this point I use 0.75, while for this other side I use 1/2 inch. I'm going to go ahead and connect this point to my bust point, just the way you see me doing. So when I'm done with this, guys, I'll go ahead from this point to take my neckline. So I'll be using Queen Anne neckline for this tutorial. I love Queen Anne neckline, but in the thumbnail it wasn't Queen Anne neckline, it's just a straight neckline, but I decided to use it. So this is my yoke now. From that, my 3 inches width, I connected it to the dart leg. That was how I got it. So now I'll go ahead and take my shape. So I'll divide my bust by 4. I'll mark it there, and then I'll replace my dart at this end, and then I'll go ahead and add my allowance. I'll do the same thing for the underbust. I'll divide my underbust by 4. I'll mark it. I'll replace my dart. I'll mark it there, and then I will take my sewing allowance. I'll do the same thing for the waistline. My waist divided by 4. I'll replace my dart, and then I will add my allowance. I'll do the same thing also for the hip. But before I go to the hip, first I'll go ahead and connect the ones that I've done from the bust to the waistline. So I'll go ahead now and connect all of these points that I made from the bust to the waistline. Now I'll go ahead and take my bust dart. So from my BP, that's my bust point, I came down by 2 inches. Remember, we removed the 2 inches while we're drafting. That's from the half length. So I'll connect it down to my dart there. So that's our bust point. So from this waistline, to get that curve, I came down from the waistline by 2.5 inches. I didn't use the exact waistline for the curve. I came down by 2.5 inches, and I went ahead to use my ruler to connect it straight like this, and then I'll go ahead and connect it straight down to take the shape. When I'm done with this, guys, from this dart leg, I'm going to come in by 2 inches, just the way you see me doing. I will come inside by 2 inches. Those 2 inches now will enable me to get that curve around the waistline. So this was me using my free hand to get the curve. So after I was done using my free hand, I will now go ahead and use my ruler to define the curve so that it will be better in shape. So this was me using my ruler, my curve, that's my curve ruler, to define it, so it's much better like this. So when I'm done with this, guys, that is when I will now go ahead and take my hip measurement and then the full length. So guys, for my hip measurement, I'll divide my hip by 4, and then I'll replace my dart at this end, and then after replacing my dart, I'll add my allowance. So when I'm done, guys, whatever I have on the hip line, I'm going to replace it on the full length of our gown. So this was me replacing what I had on the hip line on the full length of our gown, and then I'll go ahead and use my ruler to connect this point into a straight line. So at this point I actually gave it a curve, so that it's going to have a hip curve around here, although this part is going to be gathered. Remember the style, so we're just taking the shape so that we'll have a pattern to use to get that gather effect around the waistline. So basically we are done for the front. So I'll go ahead, although I'll come back to the front for the cutting. So this is my pattern for the back. I'll go ahead and roll out my starting line just the way you see me doing. So when I'm done with the starting line, I'll go ahead and mark the zip allowance. There'll be zip in this dress, so I'll go ahead and mark the zip allowance. For the zip allowance, I use 2 inches for the zip allowance. So I'll use my ruler now to connect all of the points together. So guys, if you've not subscribed to my channel, please do well to subscribe. If you've not liked my video, like my video, leave a comment in the comment section, share my video. And then so basically this was me connecting all of the points that I made together for my zip allowance. So I'll go ahead now and take the vertical measurement. So the vertical measurement I use for the front, that's what I'm going to still use for the back, which is my bust point 10 inches, my under bust 13, and then the half length 15 and a half. I didn't add that 2 inches because there is obviously no bust dart at the back, so I maintained my original half length, which is 15 and a half. I went ahead to mark my hip line, which is 25, and then the full length. So I did the same thing. I had to mark out all of these points that I made initially. I extended it, my bust point, my under bust, my half length, my hip line, and then I'll go ahead and use my ruler to connect it into a straight line, just the way you see me doing. So when I was done connecting, guys, the next thing I'm going to do right now is to go ahead and take my shoulder measurement. My shoulder is 7, that's 14 divided by 2. I marked it. I came down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope. Then I got my armhole, which is my bust divided by 6 plus 1.5. I marked it there, and then I'll use my ruler to connect it into a straight line. So when I'm done with this, guys, I'll go ahead and indicate my chest line, my bust points. My pattern paper was actually misbehaving. It's like it's been folding, so I had to hold it down. My bust point, under bust, waistline, hip line, and then the full length of our gown. So when I was done with this, I'll go ahead from that chest line and I'll impute my shoulder measurement, which is 7. I'll mark it there, and then I'll use my ruler to connect it down the 1 inch shoulder slope I came down by. So this was me connecting. When I'm done, guys, I will now go ahead at this point and I'll take the midpoint of the armhole. So I'll divide the midpoint into 2 like this, and then I'll get my bust divided by 4. I'll mark it on the chest line, and I'll go ahead and connect this point to get my armhole curve at the back. So when I was done curving or connecting the armhole, I went ahead to get my neck width. So the neck width I use for the front, that's what I use for the back. Then for the neck depth, I came down by 1.5, and then from that 1.5 I came down by 2 inches, because if you notice at the thumbnail, the back is kind of curvy. So I went ahead to connect my neck width just like this to my neck depth. So and then I connected my shoulder slope, my 1 inch shoulder slope like this. So when I'm done, guys, I'll go ahead and take my nipple to nipple measurement, 4 inches, and then I'm going to go ahead and connect it all through to the full length of our gown. So this was me connecting all of these points, that's my nipple to nipple to the full length. When I'm done connecting, guys, I will now go ahead and connect the points into a straight line down to the full length. So after this, guys, on the waistline, I'm going to come in on the waistline by 1/2 inch on both sides. So this 1/2 inch now I'm going to use my ruler to connect it straight. But before then, I'm going to come down from my shoulder line to get my neck depth for the back. So this was me. I still use the same 6.2 inches I used for the front for the neck depth. I marked it and I used my ruler to connect it straight down. Then I now repeated my nipple to nipple here, which is the 4, and I'll go ahead and connect it into a straight line, just like this. So when I'm done, guys, from that dart I came from the nipple to nipple, I'm going to tighten the back by 0.25. So this was me tightening the back by 0.25 on both sides. When I was done with the back tightening, I'll go ahead and use my ruler from the waistline to connect first to the dart leg, that's to the nipple to nipple, before I connected it to the tightening. I'll do the same thing for the full length. I'll connect my dart leg down to the full length like this, and I'll do the same thing for this other part. Then now I'll go back to my neck depth to tighten it. I'll go ahead and connect this point, that's 0.25, to the waistline, just like this. So when I'm done, guys, from that 2 inches I came down by, I will now go ahead and give it that back opening that our style has. Are you seeing, guys? And then I'll go ahead and extend it all through to the zip allowance. So basically we now have a back yoke. So I'm going to go ahead now and indicate back yoke. So when I'm done with this, guys, our back is already taking shape. I'll go ahead now and come down from the back. I do not want the back to be straight, so I came down by 1 inch and I connected it all through from the zip allowance, then almost close to the armhole line. I did not want my back to be straight. That was why I had to go down by 1 inch, but it's actually optional. But I didn't want my back to go down. Sorry, I'm repeating this all over. I just wanted you to understand. So I replaced my dart across my armhole just like this, and then this will be my new armhole curve, just the way you see me doing. So guys, we're almost done. So I'll now go ahead now and take my measurement. So my bust measurement divided by 4, I marked it. I went ahead to replace my dart at this end, and then I marked my allowance. I did the same thing for the bust, the waistline. I divided my waist by 4. I replaced my dart and I added my allowance. And I'm going to also go ahead now and do the same thing for the hip line. I'll divide my hip line by 4. I'll replace my dart and I'll add my allowance. So whatever I have on the hip line, I'm going to go ahead and repeat it on the full length of the gown, just the way we did for the front. So whatever I had there, I replaced it on the full length, and then I marked it. I'll go ahead and use my ruler to connect all of these points that I made into a straight line to get my curve. So from the waistline, guys, I came down by 2.5, just the way I did for the front, and then I'll go ahead and connect this straight line, this 2.5, into a straight line. So this will be my new waistline. From this end, guys, I'll come in by 2 inches to get that curve. So I'm going to go ahead and connect it with the curve, but I didn't like how it was. The shape wasn't really coming out, so I had to use my free hand to connect it to the curve down to the waistline, our new waistline. So I had to now use my ruler to redefine it. That's my curve area in my ruler, to redefine the curve that I made with my free hand, just the way you see me doing. So guys, after I was done with this, that was when I now went ahead to connect all of the points that I made initially together, just the way you see me doing. So when I'm done with this, guys, for the back bulges, to avoid back bulge, I came in from this end by 1 inch. So I marked my 1 inch just like this. After I was done marking my 1 inch, I went ahead to use my ruler to connect it all through to the chest area, just the way you see me doing. and then I'll also go ahead and connect it all through to the full length, just like this. And again, I found a way to actually avoid back bulge again. So from this line that I just ruled out now, I will come in on both sides by 1/2 inch, just like this. And then I'm going to connect that 1/2 inch that I did straight to the waistline, just the way you see me like doing, to avoid back bulge again. So this is another method that you can use to avoid it. So I went ahead now, after I was done with this dart, guys, this is 1 inch dart. You will replace it at the full length. Make sure to replace this dart at the full length. If not, your dress is going to be short. So basically, when I was done, I went ahead to indicate my zip allowance at this end, guys. So this was when we're done with the back drafting. So I'll go ahead now and cut the front first before I cut the back. But again, I had for the front, I will come down from that chest line by 1.5 because I want a sweetheart neckline around that area. So I came down by 1.5. I used my French curve to give it that sweetheart neckline curve. So this was it, guys. So when I'm done, I'll go ahead and cut my patterns. So this was me cutting my patterns. So at this point, guys, I remember that I have not replaced my darts. So I had to go ahead to replace my dart. So the dart I had here was 1.2. I had to replace it around the armhole because if you do not replace it, your dress is going to be short at that area and all your effort will be in vain. So make sure you replace your dart at this end. So when I replaced it, I now went ahead to continue with the cutting of our pattern paper, just like this. So I'm going to close my bust dart here with a pin, and then I'll cut out the side. So this part now, I'm going to indicate the side gather. So basically this is our front block, guys. So I'm going to indicate this part, side gather. So this was me writing it out. This is my center front, this is my side front. So that's it, guys. Then I'll go ahead and bring in the back block to cut it out. Setting this aside to bring in the back block. So this is my back block. I'll go ahead and cut out all of the piece. This was when I was done, guys. Are you seeing? So I'll go ahead at this point and indicate side gather. So this is where our gather is going to be. And then basically this is our back block. We are done with it. I'll go ahead now and introduce my crepe fabric. I went ahead to fold it into two, just like this, and I placed my center front on it, meeting the center front of our crepe fabric. I went ahead to pin it down. I'll do the same thing for the sides. I will also go ahead and pin it all down, even the yoke. I'll pin it down and I will cut. So basically we have come to the end of today's tutorial. So guys, do well to subscribe, like, share my video, and space for our next tutorial because it's going to be fully loaded with a lot of techniques, a lot of things that you need to know about how to sew this kind of trendy dress. So guys, basically this is it. I'm going to see you in my next tutorial. Bye guys. Beautiful gown. Bye guys.